Welcome to this course. So we are going to learn how to use eViews to make time series analysis. eViews is a program that is designed for time series analysis. As you can see, this is the environment of eViews. We have different options here, and we are going to start with a very easy example. In Excel, I have a 3 time series. As you can see, I have VIX, S&P, and yield. I also have a variable which is an indicator of time. We have daily information in this data set. The first variable is VIX. VIX is an indicator of volatility in financial markets. S&P is the Standard Poor Index, which measure how is the return of the most important 500 companies in the US. And then we have yield, which is the treasury bill interest rate, which is important to understand how is the monetary policy in the US. So we are going to use this 3 time series to start making some modeling in eViews. If I come back to eViews, then I have an option to import this information. So if I want to import, then I go to Open, Foreign Data as a Word file. And then here I need to select the file. But there is also an important intermediate step, which is you need to get the data in CSV format. Okay, that is very important. Once you get the data in CSV format, then you go to Open, Foreign Data as a Word file. Here is our information, our data set. And then you go next. And here is the structure of the data to be imported. In this case, eViews is recognizing in an automatic way the frequency. eViews is telling you that this is daily information, and also this is just time series. Of course, you can work with another types of data formats, for example, panel data and other ones. But in this case, we are going to work with just time series with daily frequency. Then finish, and then this is going to generate a Word file. And in this Word file, we have objects. So these objects, S&P, time, VIX, and yield, are time series object in eViews. For example, we can open the S&P and we have the values of this time series for different periods of time. So what else can I do with this information? I can also make some plots. So I can go to graph and I create a line plot of this time series. So this is the Standard & Poor plot. I can also play a little bit with this bottom, as you can see, to see a specific period of time to evaluate the evolution of this time series, right? You can see the whole sample, or you can see a specific period of time, right? So if you want to focus in the last years, you can play with this and obtain the respective the plot for these years. Okay, so you can also make different type of plots. The lines are not the only one options. If you go here to graph, you can select, for example, bars and make this is the plot of the VIX index, but using bars. And in the case of yield, you can see that this is an interest rate. You can also go to here to view and make another type of graphs. You have these different options: bar, spike, area, dot plot, distribution, quantile, box plot. If I use dot plot, I'm gonna create a collection of dots. And also, if I want to see the quantiles, these are the quantiles of the time series. But most of the time, we are interested to see just the evolution of this time series, right? You can also make another modifications. You can modify the scale, the legend, the name of the graph, and different options, the type of the line. Directly here you can select the color if you want this in a very specific format. So there is different types of modify your graph. Now we generate a time series plot using a green line, right? So and in that way you can obtain different types of plots. Some of the time when we are working with this time series, we would like to see both time series at the same time. So you can let me open the VIX index and the S&P in a group. So this is the group of the two time series, as you can see, right? And also you can create a graph of this time series. Of course, in this case, since the scale is different, it's very difficult to see how different they are. But if I do the same for another variable, which are for another variables that have a similar scale, VIX and yield, I create a group and then I create a graph. Then you can see a little bit how they behave during the different days in our sample, right? So basically this is how you can import the information and create some plots, but most of the time we are interested on creating models to answer some specific questions. Here in EBS you have different options. Also you can see the statistics of these plots, and we are going to start by the definition of the unit root test and what is an stationary process, because we need some conditions before starting the modeling, right? Okay, so also there is an option to modify the time series. If you see here, you can see that this is the time series itself, but you can modify this to percentage change. Now this is a percentage change. You can also take the log difference and the first difference of the time series. And also there are different options to modify this plot, to modify the time series, right? So if I change, for example, if I keep this in percentage change, I'm modifying the time series. So now instead of the index, I can see the percentage change of this index, right? If I come back here to the spreadsheet option, now there is no index anymore, and instead we have percentage change of this index. You can freeze this object and you are gonna have a table. This is a table which is gonna be constant. So, and you can also name this like my first table, and then you are gonna have a first object here called table 01, which is the percentage change of the standard pool, right? So now let's open the three time series. We're going to use VIX, yield, and S&P, open as a group, and then we have the three time series. In addition, you can modify the values of, you can modify a specific value with this option, with edit. You can modify specific values, right? But we are not going to do that right now. These are the three time series, and you can use this time series to make different type of analysis. For example, you can make covariance analysis. This is the covariance, this is the relationship between the time series. But again, we are going to start with the definition of the unit root test, because it's the step 0 to start making modeling and to understand how these time series are useful to obtain